Welcome to Rock and Roll Flashback. Okay, so the three band members ended up getting married within a 14-month time period, and the Limited Sensation Domaine effectively disappeared in 1972. So how would you describe what you did post-band? Dave, why don't you start?
After the band broke up, the first thing I did was become a talent agent, rock and roll talent agent, and promote concerts. I did that for 2 years. Then after that, I went to be a DJ at a nightclub for 2 years. Then I moved to Atlanta, where I eventually became the director of regional marketing for Arby's. Did that for 10 years, then moved to Miami, where I took over corporate marketing for Arby's. Then I did that for 5 years, then moved to San Diego to take over Jack in the Box marketing program, and burned out on corporate life and moved to Los Angeles and became an actor in the Screen Actors Guild.
So while you were representing bands and DJing in Pittsburgh, you were also working on your 8-year degree at Point Park?
Yeah, I finally got a degree in 78.
In journalism?
After 4 freshman years, and I get 2 years.
And while in Atlanta, you met the great Henry Aaron in Atlanta.
Yeah, I traveled around the country with Hank Aaron when I was with Arby's, going to different Big Brothers and Big Sisters events with him.
Great.
Got to know him really well.
And as a member of the Screen Actors Guild, you met a lot of actors. Of course, you were a double for a lot of them.
Double and stand-in for Jack Nicholson on the bucket list, and did a lot of stand-in for old guys with white hair.
and conservative business types.
Yeah, one of the best ones I stood in for was on A Clockwork Orange.
Oh, wow.
I didn't stand in on Clockwork Orange, but it was a start in Clockwork Orange.
Okay. Oh, the star
Malcolm
of that.
McDowell.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Malcolm McDowell.
McDowell, yes.
Yeah. That was really a good stand-in, and I stood in for Anthony Hopkins and a few other guys like that.
Yeah, so you can be watching a rerun of a TV show like House, or a movie.
Seinfeld.
A movie like, an Eddie Murphy movie, and there's Dave. You were not permitted to do speaking parts, I believe.
The reason why is I wasn't trained as an actor. That I did a lot of cameos. On Reba, I was a minister, marrying Reba's kids. And I was on NCIS as a naval admiral, walking down the hallway with Mark Norman.
Oh, that's neat. You had a varied career, I would say. You haven't really dabbled in music since...
No, I haven't gotten into music at all. I play keyboards at home and play the guitar sometimes, but I don't really do much of anything with it. I did write 5 books, and had 2 published.
Okay. So, David, your third wife, Cindy Meadows, was a singer and an actress, and I believe she was instrumental in getting you started in your acting career. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
She was in a lot of theater, community theater in Florida. She played with the Fort Lauderdale Players, the Township Players, and a couple other groups that she was involved in. This one particular place with the Township Players that she regularly did Broadway shows, and the Township was a little senior community about 5 or 10 miles west of Fort Lauderdale. She did about 2 or 3 shows a year there.
Did you meet her down in Florida?
Yeah, I did. I was there. I had been there for about 5 months, and a friend of ours, the guy I worked with, was dating this woman that was her roommate, and I met her on a blind date, and we started dating after that and got married a year later.
Oh, good. And this was when you were working with, not Jack in the Box, but when you were working with Arby's?
Arby's, yeah. I was director of corporate marketing then, and that was a great job. especially living in southern Florida. It was at first I didn't want to go down there, but once I got there, I loved it.
Yeah, I imagine it's grown up. Population keeps going higher and higher down there.
It does.
So you got married.
We moved out to San Diego when I got recruited by Jack in the Box, and we moved out to San Diego for a year, and then she was involved in acting in Los Angeles when we lived in San Diego. So when I finally burned out on corporate life, we decided to move up to Los Angeles, and she got heavily involved in acting, and I was just writing at the time, and she suggested I'd start doing background. And so I got in background, and that changed for me because I started getting commercials and got into regular acting and got into the Screen Actors Guild and started doing stand-in and doubling and cameo roles.
Yeah, the next thing you know, you're everywhere in Getty Images.
Yeah, that's funny. I have some Getty Images I can send to you. There's one where I was on the
Samantha Bee. Yes. You know what? Here's a funny story there. The night that aired, Sally and I were sitting watching the show, and we're going through it, and I said, "That looks like Dave Shannon." And then I found out, yes, indeed, it was you.
Yeah.
But that was funny. That was kind of neat. So the move to San Diego and then to Los Angeles, because I saw a picture once where the two of you were kind of dressed up. It looked like you're on a movie set in the sunshine somewhere, and I think she was there in the picture. I'm not positive, though.
We were in one movie together. It was a trial movie.
Oh, okay.
Somebody was just doing, it was just a short. It was called Dillinger in Paradise, and we both worked on it together. And we're in a picture with Maria Conchita Alonso. It took place in the 30s.
Yes, well, maybe that's what I'm referring to then, too, because you were in some kind of a period outfits, and one of you must have posted it on the internet and Facebook, maybe.
I think I did.
Getting back to the Follies.
Cindy wanted me to get into the show with her, to kind of like something we could do together. And I kept saying I didn't want to because I couldn't sing and I couldn't dance. It would be silly for me to get in one. Finally, she talked me into getting into Follies, and I agreed to do it. And originally, I thought I was going to do the speaker, the guy that introduced the show.
He had quite an oratory piece to begin the scene.
Yeah, I think they weren't too concerned with me being able to do that. But I think that since there were so many old people in the township, they wanted to save the older rules for the people that were older.
I gotcha.
They couldn't do the younger rules.
Right.
So, and I was too young at the time, and they had an old guy that didn't have anything to do, so they wanted to give it to him. I went to the audition thinking that I was going to do that, and they had me sing, and I can't sing. And the dancing was even worse. But they managed to get me in shape by the time the show came along.
Well, and you being a natural athlete at the time, the dancing would have been a little bit easier maybe to handle. The singing, if one can't hold a tune, it's kind of hard to suddenly change.
Yeah, it was difficult for me, and I don't know that they didn't turn off the microphones around me.
Yeah. Now, was this in the greater Fort Lauderdale area, or?
It's a town called Coconut Creek.
Coconut Creek, okay.
It's west of Fort Lauderdale inland, and they have, I'll send you a picture of the township, Performing Arts Theater. It's much bigger now than it was when we were there. It was a nice theater. It held about maybe 500 people.
Wow.
And it was mostly old people that came to it, that lived in the township. And they had a regular group of people that did the singing and the dancing parts, the starring roles. And they traveled around to different theater groups, community theater, and worked together.
And you said they also did some retirement homes and assisted living?
They did retirement homes. The group that Cindy was in, they had three girls and a piano player. And they did things like the Andrews Sisters.
Oh, neat.
And old 30s and 40s music.
Sure.
She was a regular in all the community theater. She would go from one show to the next. She did Follies, she did Man from La Mancha, and Little Abner, Miss Saigon.
Would you say this is the early 90s?
It was the early 90s.
So you would have been in your 40s, but not in your 70s. So.
That'll be 40 up to 45.